Hey, good morning, guys. It's Sunday morning, just the morning after camp, getting ready to go have a big breakfast at the general store and hang out with everybody before we all go our separate ways. What I thought I'd do, because I didn't get a lot of time to go out there and talk to you during the actual training camp, is I want to go ahead in this video is just to summarize the last tasks that we had to do from my last video to this one, because there were so many, and then I thought I would just at the end summarize my thoughts, reflections, what I expect, and so forth. But man, it was a long 24 hours, but so beneficial, so very beneficial. I think it's just a must if you're really thinking about doing this race, obviously if you have not done it. But I think when we last talked, we had just reached the top of Joe's Mountain at Shrek's cabin. And then at that point, Joe showed up and we did, I have no idea how many burpees. It was just too many to count. And then we had to do squats with boulders. And at the top of the mountain, they have this big, massive boulder that's just, it's huge. And it probably weighs maybe 100 pounds. And they had these stairs that were built at the top of the mountain that go down real steep. And that was done in a previous death race. And we had to carry this boulder down the stairs individually and back up without dropping it, or there'd be penalties. And there, let me think here. Oh yeah, and while we were doing that, one at a time, everybody had to keep doing their burpees. And then we did some various tasks at the top of the mountain there. And we headed back down, but we didn't head back down just normally. We had to run back down the mountain. We went back to Joe's house, at which we went into one of his big, it's almost like the size of a lodge. It's kind of built like a lodge, like a training facility. And they sent all of us downstairs to the dungeon, the basement. It was black, hard concrete, where we began to do more burpees barefooted and various exercises. And then they took two at a time upstairs with Joe Decini, and he began to do an upper body workout, which involved climbing up and down a rope without using your feet or legs, and you had to do that multiple times. And then you would switch stations, and you'd have to do pull-ups, throwing the sandbag above your head, and then doing squats, just various things. It was good one-on-one time with Joe. It was just another workout in the middle of a hellacious workout. And then after we did that, we headed over to Peter's house, where we learned how to chop wood a little more efficiently, learned how to determine the different types of wood. Maple was one, and the other type, which they'll have at the death race, and I could not remember specifically, but that helped me determine which wood to select and how to be more efficient at it. And then before we headed off for our 15-mile run, hike in full gear, we had to go down to the creek, where there was a massive, I think it was a pine tree that had fallen down in the water. And we had to push this thing away from the shore, and the water wasn't deep, so everything was rubbing on the rocks. And so we had to push it away from the shore and get it downstream a little bit to kind of where there was a large pool of water where it was flowing over like a little waterfall. And we had to cut that thing in half and invent like a lever pulley system to get it pulled out. Of course, you're standing in the water and you're freezing and slippery, but just one of those things. And we got back up, we got our gear, we're trying to hurry. They're always yelling, go, 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 we gotta be there by this time, and so on and so forth. And so we're getting ready to head out, and they go, oh, you got to carry these two items. Well, one's a log, and it was about a couple 100 pounds, and it was very, very dense, very green wood. And the other one was one of those massive water bottle jugs that you put in those machines where you get water from. I don't know how many gallons it was. And I think the log, I ended up somehow getting on that task. Everybody else kind of seemed to gravitate towards a water bottle. Anyway, of course, we're being yelled at by Don, and we're telling us to go. And here's one of my key things that we made a mistake at the end of the day. Well, at the beginning of the day, a rookie mistake, but we were taught to learn really closely. Told us this had to be at the top of the mountain of the Blood Root at a cabin area where some people were going to be waiting for us, and they wanted to be able to put that underneath their feet so they could sit there by the fire. And that's all he said. And so we began to take a lever system that somehow they already put on it just to make it look like that's something we were supposed to do. We began to drag this log, four of us, and we started inventing more pulley systems and holding systems, and it was just brutal. So you get your pack on and you're starting to head out from Peter's house by Joe Decini's house, and you're going up to Blood Root. And we wasted so much time stopping. I think 45 minutes, probably to an hour, just jacking with this stupid lever system, and so we got dropped behind another group of about 5, I think, that were having with the water bottle. And so we eventually just kept going, and to the point where the lever system wasn't working. And one of the girls said, you remember what he said when we were talking about putting on his feet? He didn't say how many pieces it had to be in, and that was the moment where we all went, duh. So we began to chop up the wood, but normally the wood wouldn't take that long to chop, but it was about 4 feet tall. And like I said, it was uncuttable. It was the greenest piece of wood you've ever saw. And a guy named Mick came down he was just like Superman from Australia, and he came down, and there was about 5 of us going at it with axes and saws. It took 45 minutes, almost an hour, to get this thing to cut in half and then to split it. It was just insane. So here we are, 2 hours behind. So we reached the top of Bloodroot carrying these freaking logs in our packs, and it was uphill, just up. You get to the top of the mountain, and of course I believe it's Don, I'm hoping I'm not saying his name wrong, was just PO'd at all of us. And I was like, hey, it's life. Would you all quit? And just got the normal grief and stuff. And it's like, hey, we made a mistake, and that kind of stuff. But it was all good in the end. And then we began to run back down the mountain, run back to Peter's house, another 7 or 8 miles with our gear. And I almost made it most of the way, but towards the end of the run, I was really sore. And let me think. Oh, we got back, and so that was the full 24 hours there, 24 and some change. And I started to stretch a little bit, and then Andy came by, Andy Weinberg, and he says, all right, we're going to take you guys over to the general store for dinner, but before you go, you got to earn your ticket, because we got like a voucher paying for our dinner that night. So the marbles that we brought, his boys collected, or I think Peter's boys collected them, and then they took them and they threw them in the stream next to the house, with the fast running cold water. They said, if you want dinner, you gotta go find 1 marble. And so we're all starving and tired, and so everybody just jumps in the ice cold water, and we're all looking through the pebbles and rocks and stuff, and we finally find our marbles so we can have dinner. But then we're thinking, we're just gonna get a ride up there, we're gonna go eat. Nope, had to go hike to the general store to go get our dinner. But it's all good, it's part of the game, it's part of the training. And now, as far as to summarize for you guys go, got my shirt, my Peak shirt. Very proud to be wearing that thing. It was probably the single hardest training. It was the single hardest training thing I've ever done, because it was continuous. It never let up. We rarely had time to rest. If we did, it wasn't even enough time just to maybe change a pair of socks and squirt down a goo packet or something. But what I took away from the training camp, I think, was just so valuable. I think I already mentioned about the wood selection and how to cut wood, but to knowing that this year, and this is one of my biggest concerns for myself, this is going to be a very fast-paced race. They instigated a protocol where they're going to be doing time limits, where you have said time to complete your task and make it to wherever for the next task. So if you have to finish cutting wood at Peter's house and you got to go up Bloodroot, and you have X amount of hours to get there, or minutes, or whatever it might be, and if you have not gotten to the next checkpoint and you've not completed the test by said period of time, you're out. The race is over. So I think this year it's going to be very thin, fairly quick. And I'm going to give it my all, my best. I said that's my concern. It just kind of frustrates me, because I can just keep going and going and going. But with the time limit, we're going to be forced to really push ourselves beyond our normal exertion level, and that was what happened today. I think when it was all said and done, we ran a little over 40 some odd miles in 24 hours with our packs, built a granite staircase going up the freaking mountain, moved various things, cut all kind of wood. Let me think here. It was just phenomenal. And then when I got out of the shower this morning, I get out of bed to go get some warm water on my legs, and my legs seized up this morning, and I almost fell to the ground. So I kind of expected that. That's just par for the course. I just know that for me, I'm going to be packing my rigging so much different. I didn't do what I was hoping to accomplish, in the sense of not having so much pain in my back. That's because I packed more things than what I needed, so I've got that situation figured out, and I know what I am going to pack and not going to pack. As far as food goes, I'm not taking nearly what I took, and I'm going to do a couple different things. I did some samplings of some various products. Some I liked, some I didn't. Some I got from ideas from others, and so. But my rigging's the number one thing, because with the shoulders, I've got bruises on my shoulders from all that running with the gear. like I said, with the bruises up here on my shoulders and my triceps, and not my triceps, but my one of my muscles, all my muscles hurt. It's just teaching me I need to pack these things differently to be able to sustain and make it through the death race. So, and then the other information that was just incredibly invaluable was talking to Don. Had some one-on-one time with him going down the mountain as we were running, and talked to him for about a half hour, and just about the mind games and how you really need to listen when they tell you to do something. He gave a lot of illustrations from past death races, and that's the key, is if they tell you to do something, you got to think outside the box. There's always a way to facilitate your action, and meaning that there's a better way to do it, a smarter way to do it. You just got to think. But when you're sleep deprived and you're delirious and you're dehydrated and you have hypothermia, in which we experienced a hypothermia and dehydration yesterday. I love those things. And you've got to figure out how to listen to your body, continue to drink, do whatever you need to do to take care of your feet, which is critical. And that, I think, is the key of success, is you've got to take care of your feet and the rest of your body, otherwise you'll be out of the race really quick. And you just got to be smart about it. And I realized one mistake that I made is on the last climb is I got complacent and I just started letting up because that log kicked my butt because we couldn't catch up, and it just started demoralizing me, and I was getting a little bit depressed, thinking, where are we? You know, and I let that stuff get into my head, and so I know better than that. I can't let that slow me down. I've got to find a way through that, and it was very beneficial. I made some great friends. We had one guy named Mick up from Australia. I think I mentioned him. Great guy. He's like Superman. He's competing in the Spartan Series down there, and another guy from Canada who's French, and his English was pretty good, but we had fun talking, and various other people's, and I know the camp when it started, we had 2 people drop out within the first half hour, and then another gentleman dropped out when the sun came up after we were headed back out for our 15, 16, 17 mile run hike with our pack. He's just like, I couldn't do it anymore. So definitely teaches a lot, thins out the herd a lot, and so when I show up at the race, I know Joe and Andy's game faces will be on, and so everybody else is. I don't expect anything from them but grief and heartache and getting them to get me to quit. And so knowing that's not personal, it's okay. I just smile, just like when we got yelled at the top of the mountain yesterday. It's good. I can only control so many things. I can't stress out about that. And so I just want to share these things with you. I am looking forward to coming out to the death race with my family. Hope my kids can enjoy cheering on their dad as much as they possibly can see me. And there you go. So you guys have a great day.